Welcome to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Next up, we have Christopher with Multisigs Demystified. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Nice to see you here. I'm kind of local here to Amsterdam, so always nice to see people coming to this event. Yeah, thank you for making the trip. I know Amsterdam is not the cheapest city to stay, so definitely thanks for your efforts. I'm going to talk a little bit about Multisigs. I work for Polygon, by the way. I lead the security team over there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Multisigs because it's lately kind of what I do or what I worry almost on a daily basis now. So, a fun fact, last night I was watching a movie with my wife. It's called Conclave. Maybe some of you watched it because, there's a new pope, and I'm like, I don't get any of these things. I'm actually South American from Argentina. I'm like, I don't really get what the church does or anything like that. So I saw, let's watch the movie, understand how it works. And I'm like, holy shit. This whole Conclave thing is the same thing that we do for Multisigs and like just the internet in general and how everything works. So I went directly to ChatGPT and I told them, please, build me, give me 4 reasons why conclaves are similar to Multisigs. And this is basically what ChatGPT came up through. But really, it's completely true. Like, first of all, threshold approvals. We need to set up thresholds, 3 out of 5, 6 out of 7, 10 out of 13, stuff like that. In the Pope's conclaves, it's 2/3 of the actual basically cardinals over there need to agree, and until they agree, the transaction is not going to be confirmed. There's not going to be a new Pope, etc., etc., etc. Next one over here is about secrecy and isolation, like incredible as well. That's why we use things like, hopefully everybody use here, things like a hardware wallet and stuff like that, so that the actual secrets don't go away and don't leave that room. Now, one of the things that also impressed me a lot was, once all the voting is done on those little papers and stuff like that, they burn all those papers. Which may not be, part of like the crypto ethos or stuff like that, but it's like there is no trace of actually what people voted or didn't vote and stuff like that. So in certain degree, blockchain is better than, a Pope conclave because at least you have traceability about who voted for this Pope or who didn't. Maybe this is a talk more about like how the church could use blockchain. I don't know. Another thing here, redundancy, resiliency, the whole idea, and I'm going to talk about it later, is you need to make sure that when you're using multisigs and just in general, when you're making decisions, when you're creating consensus protocols, make sure there is redundancy. Make sure that there is no single failure point or centralized point on that. If somebody dies, disappears, is away from office or whatever it is, that your business can still continue, that you can still run transactions. That's why you have, more people in that multisig that actually is required for those signatures. Like, don't make a 1-to-1 multisig, please, ever. Like you lose that key and you lose that multisig. How fun. Or a 2 out of 2. It's stuff like that. There may be reasons sometimes to do it, but in general, like not really recommended. And last but not least, it's about, collective trust. Like in the end, and I think the base roll-up talk that was just here before touched on it as well. In the end, a lot of the roll-ups and the systems and the blockchains and everything else that you see out there is based on trust. You're trusting this group of people, this group of signers. In the future, they're probably going to be robots, to do the right thing, to sign the right transactions, and, move the protocols and the decisions forward. Yeah. So, this has been happening for a long, long time, and multisigs are actually not new. If you actually look at some other type of examples in the world, outside of technology, but also inside of technology. So one of the most interesting, at least for me as a security professional, as an engineer throughout my lifetime, was these key ceremonies for the certificate routes. So, the internet is basically governed by a couple, 5, 10 different certificate routes that are issued and basically, give you the little lock in your browser. That's because we all trust these 5 or 10 companies to provide those locks, to provide those encryption keys. And there's a key ceremony that happens once in a while to rotate the keys, to change them, to update them, etc., where literally people are flown in from all over the world. They don't even know where they're going. They're locked up in a room. They're given new computers, like out of the box. They all sit together and they sing a song, and magically the internet continues working year after year after year. Now, another example is like the nuclear launch protocols. I don't think it's a great multisig over here, but you know, it's a 2 out of 2 multisig over here. Or at least that's what we know, or what the movie shows us. No, like there's 2 people that need to come in with their keys, you know, and their little suitcases, you know, turn the key on. And if those 2 people don't turn the key on, then no nuclear, you know, systems will be attacked. I think they could have a much better multisig. Now, imagine if the fate of the world, if the fate of the whole blockchain is, you know, like I don't know, Vitalik's bootstrap node or whatever it is protected by a 2 out of 2 multisig. Like, oh, wow, yeah. And last but not least, like pirate treasure chests. Now, this one also was, again, thanks ChatGPT for giving me ideas. Now, if you're not using ChatGPT or LLMs in general to do your work and to do everything in your life, you're not going to make it in the future, because, you know, this just makes your life so much easier, and actually my presentation even a little bit more fun. Like treasure chests, actually, pirates had to have at least 2 keys, you know, or crew members with different keys to open the treasure chest, to ensure that, you know, nobody on the boat was actually able to steal the funds from it. So there are a bunch of other examples around there from how boards work in different companies. No, most companies, especially the public ones, have a board, and in the end, the big decisions about the companies, there needs to be consensus among the board members. Now, with different thresholds, maybe everybody needs to agree, maybe some of them need to agree, but again, multisigs, consensus algorithms, the only thing that we have created is a traceable public way of actually doing these type of consensus decisions. Now, that's really what multisigs has been doing. And to be honest, multisigs are going to be present everywhere now, thanks to things like EIP 7702 that was just implemented on Ethereum, that allows a lot of, you know, what we use as normal, you know, crypto wallets, EOAs as they're normally called. You know, you're going to be able to actually use them as it was a multisig. That comes with a lot of great benefits. It comes with a lot of concerns, attack vectors, things that I'm still thinking about, ways that you're going to be able to hack users even easier than you were able to do it before, because signing a transaction nowadays, you know, while it still gives you access to your funds, it could give you access to a lot of other things, because they can program, you know, something in reality behind it. So in the end, you know, what we have reinvented here, as demonstrated by the Vatican, the pirates, the nuclear bombs in the 50s and stuff like that, is nothing new. No, and the problems that multisigs have are also not new at all. No, so I think everybody is kind of aware of some of the things over here, but these are a couple of one of the biggest hacks that we've seen, you know, related to multisigs, starting by, why did I put multi-chain protocol? This is not multi-chain protocol. I changed it to Sky Running. So I'm sorry that first one is wrong. That's supposed to be Sky Mavis, Axie Infinity, you know, one of the biggest hacks over there. Basically, they were, in this case, it wasn't a multi-sig specifically. No, they compromised the validators over there, but in the end, it's kind of the same thing. No, so they compromised the validators and be able to collude them in order to, you know, steal the money from the bridge. You got the Orbit chain. Again, the attacker was able to get 7 of those 10 keys. Like, how did they get them? You know, the information, there's a lot of guesses, most likely some type of phishing. You know, there's different methods they were able to do that. You know, in this case, it was very unfortunate. Or the guys had very, very bad security hygiene. Like, getting the keys of 7 signers, wow. Like, that's a lot of work. Another one, the Radiant Capital, obviously terrible multi-sig security over here, 3 out of 11. Like, you only needed 3 to compromise 3 people. It is very easy to compromise people. Just send them a fake link. Hey, you got $1 million. Hey, I'm the Prince of Nigeria, whatever it is. You know, if you know somebody or you investigate, you do some OSINT, you're going to find a way to trick him to click into a link. There's always a way. No? And then last but not least, the very, very, very famous hack of Bybit that will be remembered for, probably a couple of years until the next big hack happens, which will probably be even bigger. This co-wallet that hold a lot of the Bybit funds, they were actually tricked. It's not really Bybit's fault to a certain degree, let me put it that way. So obviously the safe interface was compromised. They were seeing that everything was okay, in general. Like they tried very minimally, but they tried to do the right thing. Hopefully they were looking what they were signing. No, we assume that they actually looked what they were signing. But in the end, they were tricked because the front end was changed and it was showing something different. And they were tricked in order to sign a transaction that actually changed the safe multisig upgrade over there. There's a lot of things they could have done. Like they, sorry if anybody's from Bybit over here, but, just check with another front end. Obviously everybody's talking about verifying hashes nowadays and stuff like that. But if you would have just checked the payload, check with another front end, simulate, do some of the basic hygiene things that I'm going to talk right now, especially for a company like Bybit. Like I understand if, it would have happened to anybody, us over here, but, to a company as big as Bybit, not having good security practices for these type of transactions, seems kind of crazy. So, that's it. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask. So, what are the patterns over here? Like, what's the attack vector in all of these hacks and all of the biggest hacks that you've seen in general? Yeah, humans basically. And how do we ensure that humans don't make mistakes? Sorry? You don't. No, we give them instructions. That's why IKEA is very good at people building furniture from IKEA are really good at it because IKEA gives very good instructions relatively on how to build the furnitures. They've gotten over the years really great at explaining every single little piece, of how you have to build that piece of furniture. And in the end, you finish that furniture and you're like, wow, I'm amazing. I should study, civil engineering or become an architect after that. But there's a lot with it. So just a couple of very simple recommendations. There's a lot more, and I'm going to share a link afterwards that was built by somebody else, really cool. So first of all, obviously use safe threshold signing, setups, meaning, don't do a 3 out of 10. Like, no, that's horrible. That means that they only need to compromise 3 people and they can try with 10. So, kind of the chances for compromising 3 out of the 10 people, they are quite high. The chances of compromise, like it would be better to have a 3 out of 5 in that case, because the chances of compromising 5 of the 3 out of that 5 people are less than compromising 10 of them. If you are part of councils or you manage councils or you're in governance or, a lot of you probably do some on-chain type of voting or participate in governance, make sure that when you're choosing the people that are part of the multisig, first of all, they're trusted. Now, ideally, you don't want fully anon people. Now, they have to be some type of, known who they are, or pseudo anon, meaning that, they're very known. Like if something happens, that the police will be able to catch him, or not catch him, but, be able to track him down, or somebody will be able to track him down. Make sure they're tech savvy. No, I see so many councils and multisigs with people that just because they're great influencers and stuff like that, they're sitting in these councils, getting their paycheck of $5K every month or whatever it is, and they have no idea how to verify transactions, check the payloads. They're not even interested in what the protocol is doing. They're just there like, okay, yeah, I'll sign because people believe in me because I have a lot of followers in Twitter, whatever. No, and then diverse signers as well. No, ensure that you do have a little bit of diversity. Like you don't want a multisig with 10 security people. Like that multisig will never be able to execute anything because nobody will trust nobody, and security people are annoying and they will ask too many questions. And you want things to move forward. So make sure you have a diverse set of skills over there. But in general, everybody should be technical and understand how to interact and use multisigs. hardware wallets, distributed, around the world. Not everybody in the US or not everybody in Europe, just in case, things happen. Time locks, limits where possible, implement as well. And then during the operations of things, one of the things that I've started to do that I feel it's relatively new, probably a lot of people did it before me, but it's like having a dedicated browser profile or have a dedicated user in your computer, like in your Mac or in your Windows. Just create a new user that you only use to do transactions. In that way, you don't install any crap. You're not watching porn over there. You're not, lending your computer to your kids to do their homework or whatever it is. It's a complete different user, a complete different browser profile. Yeah. Even better, if you're in finance and part of Treasury and you do multisigs all single day, then have a specific laptop just for this. Like, there have been talks about Chromebooks. I've personally never used a Chromebook. I don't know if it really works. It seems it works. No, it probably seems like a good idea. Don't trust me on this. But have a specific computer you only use for signing stuff. That would be, the best of the best. But again, usability is not great unless this is your job. Your job is signing 20 transactions per day or more. Health checks, monitoring, make sure that everybody's alive once in a while, like heartbeats, like every 3 months, like, hey, is everybody here? Do you still have access? Like, people lose their wallets. It's normal. It's okay that you lost your wallet or, you don't have access to it for whatever reason. Just make sure your heart beating and that people are there. Notifications, like, also very useful. There's a lot of, like, On-Chain Den is a great app to do I wouldn't do the signing over there, but they have great integrations with Telegram, Slack, and some other things to give you notifications. And then have formal procedures. Yeah, I have no idea how I'm doing on time, but 2 minutes. Okay, so I only have 2 slides. So I'm going to give you, this is kind of how we do transactions at Polygon. Yeah, it's not exactly the process, but it's more or less the process of how we do transactions over here. Now, and what I want you to really pay attention are those green checkboxes, because those are moments where security actually checks what's happening. Now, so specifically for contract upgrades and real big transactions and stuff like that, the security team at Polygon, which I'm part of, obviously, we do a lot of checks. We have a pre-fight checklist. The payload is prepared by a developer, an engineer, and then security checks the payload. Okay, let's make sure the developer didn't put his address in $1,000 as well, or $1 million in there as well. Then the transaction is proposed. Once it's proposed, we check it again to make sure that nothing happened in between the payload was built and the payload was proposed. I cannot tell you how many times we've seen, like, fat fingers, errors in copy paste, just people choosing the wrong version of the payload, because the payloads many times have different versions, and like, oh, sorry, I proposed the wrong one. It happens. It's okay. And that's why security checks once the transaction is proposed. Once it's proposed, obviously, you gather all the signatures, security normally, or, just stay vigilant, ensure that those signatures are coming through. That's why alerts, monitorings are important. Then just before executing, you do a last check as well. Like even though you did all these checks and nothing really should have changed, just check again. Get somebody else to check it for you if you don't have a security team or something like that, just before you execute it. Execute, and you check again. Make sure that what you deployed is what you expected to be deployed. I can promise you there have been so many mistakes in the ecosystem where things were deployed and only at the end they're like, oh, damn, this is not the version of the code we needed to deploy. No, and do a bytecode check or stuff like that. And and then obviously you're going to have a lot of post-flight checklist stuff, like in Polygon. Obviously, we add to our monitoring, ensure everybody's informed, add to the bug bounty program, a lot of other things. So just to recap a little bit about this, and this came out of me. This was not ChatGPT, I promise.
I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off.
Okay.
We've gone quite far over time now.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.